Now you have this cross-section of people you've never fucking met before, from all walks of life, from all different places geographically, from all different levels class-wise, who are now like critiquing you and giving you their feedback and telling you what's up and how you're right and how you're wrong. And I don't think we have even begun to grasp the effect of the internet. I remember there was a clip that went viral when David Bowie died. That was like he was talking about the internet when it was first coming up and how like it's not it's a tool, but it's also like this monster that we've created that we're not even going to understand the effects of it until, many, many years from now. And I think that's probably true. I think that's what we're seeing. We've certainly seen it, radicalize with politics and cancel culture and the woke culture and the warfare that goes on between left and right and progressive and conservative and new school and old school and people who are, funny versus, you have responsibility to people. I don't think that we fully even comprehend what goes on there yet and how it's going to affect us down the road. I think all of it. I always say that my age, I'm almost 36. I was born in 1985. And I always say, my generation is the greatest generation because we were born right on the cusp and we lived our childhood and our lives right on the border of young enough to be able to use the internet and access technology, and it came naturally to us. We knew how to use all these devices and everything just fit in our hands and we knew how to use it. Unlike your parents who were like, I can't find the button. I don't know how to turn it on. What's a tweeter? Things like that. It was intuitive to us. But on the other hand, we did grow up and have enough time in our lives where the world wasn't at our fingertips, where we didn't have an endless library of HD porn at our hands for free, where you could download any song or any movie you wanted for free, or you have 10,000 streaming services to bring you all the best content in the world, where all it takes is a phone, a couple thumbs, and like you can run a company, you can run your life, you can have all your entertainment right at your fingertips. So we're kind of right on that cusp where that makes us the greatest generation. But I don't think until it's been 30, 40, 50 years down the road for people like me who grew up right in that cross-section, I don't think we're going to know the effects it's going to have. I mean, we talk about, growing up where doctors were like, here you go, here's some fucking Ritalin, here's some Adderall for your ADHD. Oh, girls, you're 12 years old, why don't you pop on fucking birth control so, your hormones are regulated and regular. And we're on these medicines, pills, we're on the internet, we're getting this, like, stimulation just, like, just jammed into our fucking brains that is not natural on that scale and at that age and for that duration that who knows. I feel like we're going to get, by the time I'm like 50, when I'm fucking dead and I donate my brain to science, they're going to be like, what the fuck were we thinking? I could see like a couple hundred years from now, people being like, did you know that the humans used to be like on the internet all day? Always engaging with strangers and fighting with people they don't know and arguing and like, can you imagine? Can you believe they used to do that to themselves? It's like back when, everyone used to fucking smoke cigarettes and drink when they were pregnant, or you're smoking cigs on planes, you're taking drugs and doing things to your body that you were like, it'll be fine. And then, 100 years later, they're like, oh, actually, this like killed half the fucking society. I think we're going to have that on a digital level, on a mental and emotional level because of the internet, because it's not. That's why I feel like we're the internet coal miners who we went into the deep end. We went into the mud for the sake of entertaining the people, entertaining ourselves, trying to make some money, doing some stuff that was fun and engaging and cutting edge. And it's a leap into the deep end I'm glad I took, but I also feel like there's no doubt that it's started to have an effect on me personally, but also everywhere you look around. I mean, the Trump era is the best example of that, where it's like you just think back to just a few years ago. If you were on Twitter and social media, if you were engaging on the internet, it was like it was fun. It was a walk in the park. It was no big deal. And now everything is so important and imperative and feels like the end of the world to these people, all because you have created this connecting web and network of people you don't fucking know or care about. You do care about, actually. Everybody cares too much about each other in a negative way with groups and collections of people you've never fucking met, you're never going to meet, who shouldn't mean anything to you, but all of a sudden they are dictating your entire life. They are driving your life. Oh, I have to respond to this. I have to write a post to that. I have to hunt this person down and fire them. I have to fight with this guy to prove my point. I have to be right, or I have to apologize. Perfect example, Bean Dad. This week, Bean Dad. I could have just said Bean Dad and summed up the last 20 minutes that I've been rambling. Bean Dad is a guy, if you don't know the story, I'm going to try to explain it to you, but this is what I learned. Bean Dad is a guy, sometimes things occur on the internet, or more specifically on Twitter, that just live on Twitter. Just in that box, on the bird. For anybody who signs up and tweets, we get it, we know it, we understand what we're getting into, and those stories exist, and we love them, we're entertained by them, we are intrigued by them, we discuss it, but the minute you take that outside of Twitter, and you try to explain, like, oh, I'm going to tell my wife about this story. I got to tell my girlfriend. I got to explain to my boss. I got to say, this is a person who's not on Twitter, who doesn't know the story. Let me explain it. And you realize halfway through, you sound like a goddamn idiot. I even did it on 1 Minute Man. I did the video on Monday about it. And the people who didn't originally see it and have it go viral for them on Twitter were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Meanwhile, me, an internet 1.0 internet coal miner guy from the beginning, I jumped out of my fucking seat when I saw Bean Dad. I was like, this is the good shit. When I say internet 1.0, I think about the golden era of obscure, quirky, weird people who aren't famous or important, but they go viral because they're fucking ridiculous, or they're stupid, or they're assholes, and we all pile on, and we all talk shit, and we debate, and we argue, and we discuss, and we kill time, because let's face it, that's really what we're all doing here at the end of the day. I'm doing it on a bigger scale. You're doing it on right now, watching this and talking about it. You're sitting on the toilet. You got a break at work. You're on the internet to just kill time. All we're doing here on this planet is killing time until we're fucking dead or until the aliens come. I'm waiting here every day. I wake up and I sling some smut on the fucking internet, waiting to beam me up or waiting to put me down. One or the other. So we're all just trying to kill time, and a guy like Bean Dad comes along and does it so dramatically for us, and we whip ourselves into a frenzy. But then you realize, if you try to explain it to someone who hasn't got caught up in that hype and didn't get caught in that avalanche and in that wave, and they're like, what are you talking about, and why do you give a shit about it? Bean Dad was a guy who decided to tell a 15-tweet thread, tell a story of the time his 9-year-old daughter asked him to open up a can of baked beans for lunch, and he denied her the beans and said, not until you learn how to use a manual can opener all by yourself. That's the long and short of it. And I realized as I say it out loud halfway through, it's the stupidest goddamn story I've ever fucking heard. This man starves his daughter and tells her she has to learn how to use an old fucking can opener. And the way he told it, it was completely fabricated and embellished and exaggerated, but it was that's why it was funny to me. That's why we gave him a nickname. We're making fun of him. I fucking hate him for being this sanctimonious high horse asshole who thinks that, he's a better dad and needs to tell the world about it. All that shit to me is relatively harmless and fun. Next thing you know, though, people are digging up his old tweets where he's got some bizarre jokes and references using racial slurs, and not directly like hateful racist things, but certainly racially charged tweets and conversations that people were just like, whoa, this guy's a bad person. And then they're calling him a fucking abusive dad and saying that he was truly starving his daughter. Run off of Twitter, and then today he posts an apology blog. Right before I started recording this, I got a text from PFT commenter, and he's like, did you see Bean Dad's apology? So I'm like, the what? The fact that we need a Bean Dad apology. If it wasn't silly enough that he went viral in the first place because of people like me giving a fuck about a made-up story about a can of beans and a can opener, now we've gone well beyond that to the point that this dude needs to issue a public apology to try to save his life and save Ken Jennings' life. His buddy Ken Jennings trying to get that Jeopardy money. All of a sudden, next thing you know, his co-host on his podcast is an abusive dad who's a racist. That ain't good, trying to seal that fucking deal, trying to get that bag. So he's got to try to apologize to save his life, and apologize because this is the culture we've created, where he now feels guilty and harbors all these bad feelings of like, I'm so sorry to you, the internet stranger that I don't even fucking know about. He created johnroderick.com for the sake of just this post, an apology. And it's, it's a decent chunk of writing where he completely, let me read a little excerpt here just to I deactivated my story. I deactivated my Twitter yesterday in a panic. I had to reflect on what I had done and the hurt I had caused. And my mind was clouded by an unprecedented flow of new information. Now that's a fucking poignant sentence right there. That's every day here. That's every day in the internet coal mines is an unprecedented flow of new information that we dumb fucking animals like myself don't know how to fucking process. I want to acknowledge and make amends for the injuries I caused. I have many things to atone for. My parenting story and insensitivity and the legacy of hurtful language in my past are profound failures. I want to confront them directly. My story about my daughter and the can of beans was how do you say that sentence out loud? My story about my daughter and the can of beans was poorly told. It's clearly not an important enough issue to fucking need. Like, we're talking about beans, man. And he goes on to say, I framed the story with my comedic persona, but what I didn't understand when posting that story was a lot of that language I used reminded people very viscerally of the abuse they had experienced at the hand of a parent. Now listen, my heart goes out to anybody who has been abused by their parents, no doubt. But if this dude, I can't believe it, in an unprecedented turn of events, I flip-flopped here. Now I'm going to defend Bean Dad, who I proclaimed one of the worst assholes ever on the internet. He is one of the top 5 biggest assholes on the internet for thinking that was a funny story. But what he's not is like an abusive, racist, bad person. And while my heart goes out to anybody who's experienced any form of abuse, if that dude wants to hop on Twitter and tell a story that he deems to be funny, I don't know how or why, but he deemed it to be funny, and he told a tale, and he embellished a little bit, he lied a little bit. In this post here, he goes on to explain they were eating in between. He wasn't starving her. His wife was there. They were having they were laughing. It was a good time. It was not as dramatic as he posed it to be. But if that dude wants to hop on Twitter and tell a story, he's not responsible for the entire fucking world that has experienced any sort of abuse, or if it drums up any bad feelings. That guy does not fucking know you. You do not even follow him. He doesn't follow you. He has no responsibility to you at all, except for the fact that he's now gone viral and you put your hand up and you say, hey, John Roderick, hey, Bean Dad, you're a bad person because this is reminding me of my problems. Well, that's not his fucking problem. And sure, you wish you lived in a world where everybody was totally sensitive and nothing could hurt anybody else's feelings, but that's not what the internet is, man. The internet's not a nice place. It's not a fun place. It's not a friendly place. It's a grimy fucking place.